All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday afternoon with my man Nades talking some 6-game MLB, 6 games on DraftKings, 6 on FanDuel, 7:10 Eastern start time. No weather concerns at all in terms of, like, is it going to get canceled? Some pretty good weather out there to note, though. Nades, how we doing today on this Monday afternoon?
Could be better, but we got to keep moving on and do what we do best, right? And break down these slates, keep your mind off things going on outside of the DFS world, things like that. But no, looking forward to breaking this one down. My Brewers are on the slate, so should be a fun one. Definitely a big game to talk about there. Headed into Cincinnati, and they're scorching hot right now. I knew it was going to turn around at some point. That roster is just too talented for kind of the beginning part of the year that we've seen there. So looking forward to breaking it down. Yeah, a lot of really good weather spots. There's 4 really, really good hitting conditions, 1 really good spot that kind of stands out above the rest. Not really seeing ownership go to that. We'll break it all down, but looking forward to jumping in here.
Yeah, I think it's a solid 6-game slate. Gonna take it down in a sec, but first, Pop Stoner, Jason Turner, Michael Peterson, Lyle, Chai, Red Bank, Kenny, Yeezy, Gangrene, Higo, our man Shaloub. Hope everybody out there having a great day. All we ask here, like button, subscribe button, helps us out a ton bringing you shows on this channel every single day. And if you do want to join us at SHIPIT Nation, absolutely no better time to join. The reason you will not see a better deal than this. Usually $99 for all the content for all sports, projections, ownership, slate plan, etc. The Stone and Discord and SaberSim Core, which we'll be showing off SaberSim like we do on all shows. By far the best optimizer in the business. So SaberSim, Discord, and all of our content, usually $99, as you can see right there for the core. Use the code DGEN75. Gets you $75 off your first month. Less than $1 a day. Absolutely cannot beat that. If you already have used that one, though, I do think the starter pack, we think the starter pack is the best value. For only $30 more, you're able to build 350 more teams and get 2 sets of projections ownership. You, of course, have SHIPIT Nations. You'd get SaberSim's projections ownership on the starter pack, and contest flashback allows you to see what anybody's doing. If they're playing a tournament in any single sport, you're able to reverse engineer, try and pick up tips, tricks on their player pool, on what they do in MLB. Are they only 5-2ing? Are they only 5-2-3? Are they doing some weird stuff like that? How's the ownership looking? All that. You can go back in contest flashback and look at all that good stuff. So again, DGEN75, the code. The best deal, if you have not used it yet. After that, the best deal, we believe, is the starter package. Who else have I not said hi to? I think Ricky, I said hi. Juan, what's going on, Juan? Jake, I think I said hi to Yeezy. Messing with SaberSim as you speak. Oh, yeah, you could be on there for days messing around. So much power in that. So many videos they have. Saber School up here in the top right can help you out a lot. A bunch of YouTube videos, office hours, nonstop learning with that. Happy 50K Monday, our guy Jake says. All right, I think that's enough housekeeping. I think we can talk some 6 games that we got on tap. Again, 7:10 Eastern start time. No weather concerns in terms of game will get canceled. I'm going by pitching, ownership, Flaherty number 1, Joe Ryan number 2, Logan Webb number 3, Dustin May number 4, and after that we see a big ownership gap between those 4 up top. Looking at bats quick, just like the broad slate, Brewers implied for pretty solid 4.5 and above. Reds 4.5 and above. Angels, Boston, Detroit, Minnesota, Dodgers, and I guess you could say Mets right there. But multiple teams on this short slate still expected to put up a good amount of runs with some okay pitching. So, Nate, any broad slate, if you have anything? Otherwise, start with pitching. 8K, Dustin May, all the way to Joe Ryan, 10K. What are we doing there?
Yeah, real quick before I do that, Kenny asked a good question, and many members out there, there's probably a lot of members watching this or going to be watching this back on playback leading up to lock, talking about if you only run a few lineups tonight, would you recommend upgrading to starter pack to ultimate? It all depends on your bankroll, number one, and number two, kind of your how serious you are really in the DFS streets. I know everyone that's listening to the show is pretty serious, but it is kind of a hefty price tag. There's a lot of value. Obviously, Title, myself, the rest of the team here, we all use the ultimate pack, and I look at Sims and kind of run a bunch and kind of put as much as I can into the slate plan when I'm doing the slate plan, talking about that. I would say if you're playing over $1,000 a month, I think it's worth it. It's about $297, $324 after the first kind of month with our kind of package over here at SHIPIT Nation, and there's a lot of value to it. I know it's definitely a hefty price tag, but you get so much value. You get the ability to change the ownership inputs to higher field, smaller entry stuff, right? To see kind of what the ownership looks like in those contests, etc. So there's definitely a lot of value in it. Sims are kind of the baseline, which is where kind of the price point comes in, and there's a lot of value in Sims. And I know an added value for SHIPIT Nation subscribers is the one-on-one coaching roundtables that our guy Rio does. I know there's one coming up, MLB in particular, with
Sheets.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
Be on there with Tambo and Rio, kind of breaking down the ultimate on how it applies to MLB and how some of the best MLB players in the world with Sheets and Rio use it for MLB to have success. Multiple six-figure ships by those two already this season. So there's a lot of value in it for sure. It's not for everyone, but I do think if you're playing a decent amount of money, $1,000 or so a month, I think it definitely makes sense to.
Yeah, great shout there. I'll add one thing, and then you can take it into pitching. I think Nate's hit it on the head. How much volume you're playing is almost like that. That's all that it determines it for me. So if you're playing right here, you see $297. Let me get off this. $297 a month. If you don't even play $297 a month in contest fees and entry fees, of course, that'd be one of the dumbest investments you can ever make, paying more or the same per month as the volume you're playing for DFS. Not at all. Like Nate said, $1,000. I think that'd be a pretty good baseline. 1,200, something like that. They're very powerful. It takes a little bit to get used to. So many videos out there, but like Nate said, Rio, like whoever's an ultimate member, we have a Zoom link. They hop in the Zoom with Rio, with Tambo, with Sheets tomorrow. You can ask any questions you want. If you can't make it, it's pre-recorded. So that alone, if you're an ultimate member, you get access to that, which is really nice. And they are very powerful. It's hundreds of thousands of play-by-play simulations in baseball. They're going through every single at-bat, running that game out hundreds of thousands of times. And when they do pop up in the winter, when you build those teams in the simulations, when you're seeing them, like that won a simulation. That exact team it's showing won one of those hundreds of thousands of simulations. So I think it's very powerful. Nobody even close, in my opinion, the business has done it better than SaberSim. I've been using them for years, had a lot of success. They constantly keep trying to improve as well, which is very nice. Being the best, you still want them to try and keep improving. They have definitely done that. So I think if you're playing more than $1,000, maybe give it a try for the month. If you're playing less than $800, maybe not worth it, just because you want to put more money into your contest. You're not guaranteed to win at the end of the day just because you are using Sim. So I'll end that part on that.
Yeah, no, excellent. My broad slate overview is it's kind of Flaherty and Joe Ryan, and then Red Sox and Brewers and kind of Tigers. Some of the Tigers is what I'm seeing in terms of the dry run. Tigers in particular getting slammed due to their price points and the Colorado or the Chicago pitching staff there. It's pretty good weather overall in Chicago here. So it's Boston, Detroit mainly in terms of optimizers because they allow you to spend up double spend pitching and Flaherty, Joe Ryan. Logan Webb's going to get some ownership. I think we're a little hot overall right now, kind of broad slate overview in terms of projected ownership, just because projections drive the DFS landscape in today's world. And I run dry run. I talk about it all the time. It's one of the most underutilized tools in all of DFS. Tambo talks about it all the time. And you just get an idea of what kind of similar players are going to be playing in your fields when they run projections there, and kind of gives you a good idea of what, like I said, what the landscape of the slate sets up to be. And it's definitely Flaherty and Joe Ryan projection wise is a clear cut two guys at the top, and then Detroit and or the Tigers and the Red Sox is kind of what projections are saying. Whether that's right, wrong, indifferent, we'll do our best to kind of break through it. But that's kind of my broad slate overview there. Taking pitching, you want to do the entire slate just because there's not much, or stick to 8?
Yeah. If you think that's easiest, let's do this then. Let's start from all the way on the bottom, Savale, and just tell me like easy, cross off. Let's just go bottom to top and start crossing, and then we'll circle back and see what we got left.
Yeah, so I do think Savali's in play down at 6K. Reason being, I think he has run support behind him. The Reds are going to pick up ownership, so there's double leverage there, and they have a ton of strikeouts throughout that lineup. I know Ellie De La Cruz is on a tear. I know it's a good hitting place to play, but at 6K on a slate where you have the Dodgers that are super expensive, right? You have the Twins that are up there in price. Some of the Tigers bats are up there in price. I mean, you definitely can build teams with some salary savings. So I like him a decent amount down there at the clear punt as the cheapest pitcher on the slate. Blackburn's out. Dobbins is out. Dick Fitz is out. Cannon, I think, is interesting in tournaments. Probably not a main team type play. But the reason being is, I mean, this Tigers team is going to pick up a ton of ownership. Cannon has pitched way better at home than he has on the road. If you look at his home road splits on the season, he's pitched way better at home than he has. He is, in my opinion, their best pitcher. Now, that's not saying much when you got kind of the school of the blind as a pitching staff, right? But there is some upside there at 6,800. Nobody's going to play him. Double leverages the slate, and he's put together 15-plus fantasy point games on the season, and he's 6,800. So I don't mind him. I'm out on Severino. Tyler Anderson I'm in on. I think he's a pretty solid play. I'll hit on Singer in a little bit because I kind of found a nugget, right, using SaberSim to my advantage on Singer there. Dustin May, I think, is in the pool. Kolek I'm out on. I just don't think he has the strikeout upside at 8,200. I'd much rather play Dustin May or get up to Flaherty, and then the top three guys. So pretty much I'm excluding Kolek, Dick Fitz, Dobbins, and Blackburn for sure, and Severino. Those are kind of the guys that are getting the axe from my pool. We can hone it in more if we need to. I'll touch on the guys at the top. Logan Webb, I think, is the most interesting play at the top of the board because he's sandwiched between the two chalkiest pitchers on the slate. He's got by far and away, number one, the best pitching park on the slate and the best pitching weather. I get it, right? San Diego doesn't strike out a lot. However, it's the same thing. The White Sox actually have a sub 20% K rate against right-handed pitching, and Flaherty's right below him at $9,000, and nobody's really worried about that. But people are worried about the Padres' strikeout rates against right-handed pitching, and Logan Webb's in the by far the best environment. I think he's the lowest owned of the three aces at the top. So I really like Logan Webb. People are going to say, well, San Diego just got to him last time. I mean, it's a daily fantasy sports game for a reason, right? At the end of the day, all these pitchers can have something going on, etc. Any little thing, right? And any of these hitters can get to any pitcher at any given day. I don't use past performance to kind of make all my decision-making process. I look at it a little bit. I don't think anything's wrong with Logan Webb. He's a ground ball pitcher in the best pitching environment on the slate, and a Nails bullpen behind him. So if he gets the lead, it's there's a pretty good chance. And I think that's the lowest scoring game on the entire slate. So I like Logan Webb the most at the top. Flaherty, pretty hard to avoid Flaherty on the slate. Only 6 games. I talked about the White Sox strikeout rate. It's sub 20% against right-handed pitching at home this season. But Flaherty at 9K, I mean, that's just a misprice. He's got a ton of upside here. It's still the White Sox at the end of the day. I'm in on him. I much prefer Flaherty as the chalk on the slate. I'm actually significantly underweight on Joe Ryan for a couple reasons. Number one, he's the highest priced pitcher on the slate at 10K. He's in by far and away the best hitting environment on the slate, and it's not even close. There's 10 to 15 mile an hour winds blowing out, temperatures in the upper 80s in a crackerjack AAA ballpark out there in Sacramento, which leads all of the major leagues in runs scored at night. So, and number one, he additionally too, right? He struggles with home run power, and there's a lot of lefty power in that A's lineup, and two righties in Langeliers and Rooker who both can hit the ball in the air. Joe Ryan gives up fly balls and he gives up power. So I'm underweight on Joe Ryan. I'm not playing him on either of my main teams. I play in 2 teams tonight. MME, I would include him for sure just because he has a ton of upside. If I'm throwing one guy out, it's Joe Ryan at the top. So for me, it's Webb, Flaherty at the top. Dustin May is pretty interested in me at 8K. I don't think he's a very viable pitcher. However, if you look at the last 3 starts, his strikeout rates are up. Everything's up. He should have run support behind him, right? I like the Dodgers bats. Everybody likes the Dodgers bats against Paul Blackburn and that Mets staff. There is strikeouts to be had with that Mets lineup. He's kind of the wild card guy at 8K. I have a hard time believing that he's going to be 28%.
I agree with you. I think Flaherty, we could be looking at like 65,
Correct.
60. And then I agree with you. I do think like Joe Ryan, I think it's Flaherty. Joe Ryan is the chalk pairing, but I do think more people will agree with the Logan Webb statement of the ballpark, like comparing the Ryans to the Webbs, seeing the projected ownership. And that might be kind of how we have it projected. Maybe they're both higher owned, but a close gap. I do think because I'm taking the average right now of SaberSim and SHIPIT. And again, it's really hard to predict ownership. You can add a lot of value yourself in doing that and create your own fields on the ultimate plans with the new ownership. But I think Flaherty's like 65, I just do not think Dustin May can get up to that 28% by any means. Like 20-ish seems a lot more fair. But it is a 6-game slate with little pitching, so who knows?
Yeah, I just think people look at the Mets automatically and just say, I'm not going to play a guy on the Dodgers pitching staff, right? With all of the issues that Dave Roberts has with his pitching, right? Pulling pitching early, etc. The one guy he doesn't seem to do that with much. I mean, Dustin May, his pitch count should be right around 90 to 95 pitches or so, which is right in line with the rest of the slate. If you look at it in terms of pitches, Saber also has that's kind of allotted right on there. Flaherty's really the only guy that's up there in terms of pitch count compared to the rest. All of them else are pretty much within a couple pitches of each other. So I'm not really worried about his pitch count. I think there's strikeouts in that Mets lineup, especially at the back half of that lineup. And Dustin May's looked really, really good over the last 3 starts. So at 8K, I'll take a chance on him. Brady Singer is the one interesting guy. The reason being is when I ran Saber and ran the dry run and then filtered to kind of Saber score, right, with their proprietary simulations and which accounts for ownership and kind of the nature of slate, run totals, everything. Dry run gave me 0 Singer when I went to projected score which makes sense, right? He's projected almost 4 points, right, below Dustin May for $500 less. It's just not going to hit points per dollar wise. But when you flip the Saber score, it wanted to push almost 30% of Brady Singer. The reason being is, number one, Brewers bats are going to pick up a ton of ownership. Singer is at home. The game's 4.7 implied team total for the Reds. The Reds are facing Aaron Savali. He could definitely be in line for the win easily here, and it leverages the field. So I get the reasoning there. I don't love it, but that was one guy that stood out when I ran the dry run. Him and Tyler Anderson are the 2 wild cards for me on this entire slate. Saber is definitely higher on them in their simulations, in their kind of proprietary formulations behind the scenes when you filter to Saber score and kind of take a look at the nature of the slate. It is a 6-game slate at the end of the day. There is going to be guys that you have a hard time stomaching, right? And those 2 guys for me are Singer and Anderson on the slate. I just think there's upside there. 7,200, 7,500 leverages the slate, and I trust SaberSim. SaberSim's won a lot of people a lot of money. It's won me a lot of money, and those are 2 of the guys that they're definitely higher on when you filter by our projections and their projections as an average, like I do, like you have up here on the screen. Those are the 2 guys that are the kind of the wild cards for me on the slate. Everyone else, Savali is just strictly a price point play. He's not going to go out there and get you 20 DraftKings points, but at 6K, if he gets you 10 to 12 and the Dodgers go off for 10 runs, right, the high-priced bats on the slate go off for 8 to 10 runs in positive hitting environments, that's where Savali would come into play.
For sure. Yeah, I like where we're at with the player pool. A couple quick thoughts. So these 4 all the way on the bottom, if I had to pick 2 of my favorites, I think I'm just picking the 2 lowest owned, and I'm getting the most direct leverage. And I think that's Tyler Anderson and Jonathan Cannon. I think Detroit's going to be very popular, like you mentioned. I think Boston, at least a couple certain bats, the price tag just absolutely stick out way too much. And when you look at it, like their pitch count, all pretty similar besides Savali, who also Savali is getting the most ownership in this lower tier. And the reason for that, he's just the cheapest pitcher, viable pitcher on the slates. And like the run totals, the Reds have less than Boston, the Brewers, Detroit, etc. So it all makes sense that way. But nothing by any means is fun to stomach down here. So again, might as well give me the lowest owned and the most direct leverage in Anderson Cannon. You can easily just play these 4 pitchers, any combination if you want. Like Ryan, Logan Webb, the 2 most expensive, very easy to do on this slate. Now, yes, maybe you can't get the Dodgers. Dodgers will be decently low owned. You can get a mini something, but plenty of these bats, like there's cheap bats throughout almost every single lineup on a slate like today. How I have it, Flaherty's definitely number 1, even at this ownership. Like I'll pick on the White Sox every single day. The Joe Ryan stuff, the ballpark, people talking about like a lot of fastballs, fly balls, etc. as the highest price pitcher and the second highest own on the slate. I would rather go Logan Webb in that game environment as well. I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent with Dustin May. I think he's getting we don't think he's 28%, probably closer to 20. 20 is still noticeable on a slate like this, especially when he's projected for 14.5. The reason he's getting owned is really just it's a pricing game. There's no pitcher anyone wants to click on below 8K, and that 1K difference from Flaherty, it's 1K, but a lot of people will go Flaherty May. So if I was to play Dustin May, I think I almost want to go Logan Webb or Joe Ryan more, because I think Flaherty May will be more the chalkier pairing, and I feel more comfortable eating chalk bets that way. So that was one thing I had here. I don't love May. I think these 3 are much better. It's a crapshoot down here. Anderson Cannon, I think, have the most direct leverage and the lowest own. Solid pitch count, so I take a chance. It is not fun by any means. Last thing I want to do, I know many people, I think, enjoy when I mention K-props on the slate, and that'll wrap up pitching for me. Then to see if Nades has any final thoughts, we'll talk bats. But highest on the slate, K-prop. Joe Ryan, 6.5, minus 120 on the over. Number 2, Jack Flaherty, 6.5, minus 125 on the under. Number 3, Dustin May, 5.5, minus 175 on the under. Number 4, Logan Webb, 4.5, minus 150 on the over. But guys like Cannon, minus 4 or 4.5, minus 125 on the over under, not bad. Savali, the same thing, 4.5, minus 125 on the under. Singer, 4.5, minus 125 or minus 115 on the under. So all of these guys, like we're talking 70 cents juice with the same exact number from a guy like Logan Webb, who's 2,500 more. So again, smaller slate. Teams are supposed to put up runs. I think Flaherty probably goes out and has a great game. But if you're SP2, if Cannon, Anderson, Singer, Savali, if one of them got you 13, 14, very, very well might be enough to get to the optimal on this slate and let you get up to bats and then pay your SP1, pay up for one of those 3 guys. So that's how I have it. I would not play to be honest, I wouldn't play 2 of May, Singer, Anderson, Cannon, Savali in 20 or below. I think I would anchor my teams around one of these 3, and mainly it'd be Flaherty. If I'm not playing Flaherty, it'd more so be Webb, but I'd be fine with the Ryan May pairing as well. I do not want 2 of these 5 guys right here. Any final thoughts for you, Nades? And we'll go to some bets.
No, I like that. And some of the stuff that I look at, I'm seeing Cannon is kind of the 3rd best option on the slate to earn a quality start from simulation data in terms of matchups, ownership, everything like that. So he's kind of my wild card guy. Again, like you said, right, anyone below May, even May, I'll throw May into that same group, right? May and below, none of them are by any means a fun click, right? Stomachable. May has the most upside by far just in terms of strikeouts. But again, he's going to be the highest owner of the bunch as well. And we talk a lot about ownership on this show right now because it's a 6-game slate, right? And pitching is very weak outside of a couple arms. So it's very condensed, and you can't just go in and play the same way as everyone else does. That's not the way I play in tournaments. If you're going to do that, play cash games. Good luck beating title over there, but you don't have to beat them, right? You can just join them in the old cash streets, unless it's the old head-to-head. But no, I think we broke down pitching pretty good. Realistically, single entry 3-max stuff. You're sticking to the top 4 guys: Webb, Flaherty, May, Ryan. I put Ryan last because I'm lowest on Ryan overall out of those 4.
Yeah, awesome breakdown. That's pitching. We're going to move to bats. I appreciate that. It makes my life a little easier. Hit the like button for us. It does help us out a ton. Thank you, Devin Davis. Hope everything going well with you. First game of the 6, and again, FanDuel and DraftKings, same slate, 7:10 Eastern. Boston Red Sox and the Los Angeles Angels. Tyler Anderson on the mound for the Angels. And Boston, it looks like more of a bullpen game. This Richard Fitz guy, the opener, that we're looking at Hunter Dobbins is a potential long reliever. Regardless, it's more bullpen stuff for the Red Sox. I don't know if I don't like picking on bullpen games. So I will say that. I do hate picking on bullpen games. But as the slate gets smaller, the more viable it becomes when ownership's pretty much non-existent, because most people don't like picking on bullpen games. Angels, people aren't going to play them. Even though we're showing like this ownership, I don't even know if I believe that they're going to be this high owned. I think they'll be like 6%, 7%, something like this, even on this short of a slate. Can you make a case for 4.5 run total, low ownership, guaranteed ninth inning at bats at Fenway? And then talk about the Red Sox against Tyler Anderson, who are going to get some decent ownership.
Yeah, so I'll start on the Angels side. I actually have interest in the Angels. I don't think anyone's going to play him, especially Mike Trout. I mean, I get it. Mike Trout's coming back, but I mean, the dude's sub 5K for one of the best hitters of all time, regardless of what you want to say with injuries, etc. This Angels team has a 211 ISO as a team against right-handed pitching on the year. Dick Fitz is going to go out there and throw at least 3 innings. In my opinion, he hasn't gone less than 3 innings in any of his 4 starts on the year. He has been a starter. I know there's talk with Dobbins and that they're going to kind of probably split the majority of the game. I could see like a 3-3 or like a 4 for Fitz and 3 for Dobbins, something like that, because this bullpen for the Red Sox is pretty taxed overall. I know only 2 guys threw yesterday. One of them being their closer and Chapman, right? But Friday they used a lot. Whitlock threw a lot of pitches. So it's not a great bullpen by any means. They're kind of middle of the road is the Red Sox. It's good hitting environment in Fenway. Probably prefer them more as a mini stack. The Angels fillers, just because they're cheap, they can fill, and they're direct leverage right off the other side of the game. Everyone's going to use the Red Sox side as fillers. Guys like Refsnyder, right? Christian Campbell, Trevor Story, Toro, Mayer, Connor. All these guys are sub 4K for the most part, right? Outside of the 2 guys at the top. So I think I much prefer, if I'm playing the Red Sox, the 2 most expensive guys at the top, just because that's going to be unique. Most people at the outfield and third base position are going to play either the Dodgers, they're going to play the Brewers, they're going to play some of those Tigers up, spend up outfielders and save money with the Red Sox. I'd much rather just flip it. Personally, this team has a 26% K rate against left-handed pitching. I much prefer the Red Sox against right-handed pitching. I mean, only 2 guys on this team have an ISO north of 200. That's Trevor Story, Rob Refsnyder. But Refsnyder is going to get pinch hit for as soon as Anderson's out of the game. He could only see 2 at bats, right? And he's going to be one of the most popular bats on the entire slate. Narvaez has been hitting good. He's got some power. The rest of this team, I mean, even with 3 guys that have a lot of power on the current season against left-handed pitching, their team ISO is still 136, right? I want home runs in baseball, in DFS baseball. And at this ownership, I mean, I'm selling on the Red Sox. I much prefer the Angels side. I get it. The Angels bullpen is horrible, right? Second or third worst in baseball. Now the A's kind of took over as the worst bullpen in baseball. But between the Nats, the A's, and the Angels, it's kind of a horse apiece, to be honest. So there is late inning upside for the Red Sox, but I'm definitely under on the Red Sox. Tyler Anderson, I've stacked against this dude a lot. I don't know how he does it. He continues to go out there and just put together quality start after quality start and just skate by disaster. We have him ranked really good in our pitcher rankings as well. It's just I like the Angels side more in particular. A lot of right-handed power, prefer more as mini stacks. Mike Trout, my favorite bat.
I'm in agreement with being under on the Red Sox. I think like my 2 favorite bats would be Duran and Devers, because yes, they are getting some ownership. Where I really think people are going to, yeah, I mean, Narvaez, a catcher batting cleanup at 3,500 will always be played at a total like this. Trevor Story, you can see the ISO, the WOBA number is great. Yes, he is in the 7 hole, but shortstop, onesie position, only 3,300. Those guys are going to get clicked. So then, yes, you can easily 5-man the Red Sox, because people will play 4K guy in the 3 hole, 3,500 guy in the 5 hole. You only can play one of Toro or Gonzalez, because they're both first base, but both are very cheap. So it's so easy to 5-man stack this team and spend up at pitching if you want. It's not a recipe that I want in a 6-game slate at the end of the day. So if I did play it, I think the lefty Duran Devers is a one-off more so, but I don't even love that, because if I'm fading more of a chalky team why do I really want to spend up for a one-off on that chalky team? Like, if those guys fully get there, more than likely their team probably puts up 8, 10, something like that. So, yeah, more I look at it, pretty much no Red Sox. Yeah, I like the Angels shout, though. Like, low own, a team, they're not going to be played. Good hitting weather, solid run total, get Trout back, fair pricing. Everything you said checks out a lot right there. All right, let's keep it rolling. Next game on the slate, Cincinnati Reds and the Milwaukee Brewers. We are looking at a, 9 total, -115 on the over. Great American Small Park, always a place we love playing bats. 2 pitchers where they're cheap. Savali's getting some ownership. Brady Singer grades out well in the pitcher rankings, kind of what you were going back to SaberSim. You looked at that. Our pitcher rankings like it too. You're not going to get much direct leverage with either team. But yeah, fair pricing on both sides. One thing I wanted to say before I throw it to you, an absolute insane stat our man Jason Turner just showed. Official, Ellie has more strikeouts than Tony Gwynn had his entire career. That's pretty crazy. Obviously, the quality of pitching and all that has changed a little bit. These dudes have some insane stuff, but yeah, that is a wild, wild stat. What do you got in this one for bats, Reds, Brewers?
Yeah, I'll hit on the red side. Outside of Ellie, I mean, this team, I don't like this team much, to be honest. Much prefer the Brewers side here. I mean, you got Will Benson hitting 5th or 6th. I mean, Stevenson strikes out at almost a 50% clip. So, I mean, you have your cleanup guy striking out 50% of the time. It's pretty hard to get a rally going, right? Ellie's my favorite bat by far in the Reds. I think he's a fine one-off. He seems pretty low owned in general, which is pretty crazy. Stolen base upside too. I know Savali's pretty tough to steal on, but Ellie's a special character himself. So people spending up at shortstop are going to go to Mookie Betts. I think Ellie going all the way up to the top is definitely pretty intriguing. He's my favorite guy by far. Outside of that, I'm off the Reds in general. Brewers side though, I do have interest. I know Brady Singer gets hit hard by lefties. Terang is smashing the ball right now. Frelick's smashing the ball right now. Yelich is looking good. I know he left the game yesterday. X-rays came back negative. He seems to be fine. He wouldn't have played tonight if the team thinks he's not. Brewers are running hot right now. Talked about it at the start of the show. I like hot streaks in baseball. Not just being a homer here. I follow metrics. I've barely played the Brewers at all this season. I like more mini stacks for the Brewers just because I want those lefties in particular. Frelick's my favorite bat at his price point, 3,800, and how he's playing. He's been one of the hottest hitters in baseball over the last month. Churio's been a complete stud. This entire team is red hot right now. There's always stolen base upside. I know Singer doesn't give up a lot of stolen bases. I don't expect Singer to be in this game super long. And then you got stolen base upside with the back half of that pen. And another call out, this Reds bullpen is not any good by one. And number 2, they're pretty taxed. And Suter threw a ton of pitches yesterday, which is one of their main lefties out of that pen. So you talk about, you have Terang, Yelich, and Frelick, majority of their, and Bowers, another power lefty in there. Majority of their bats in this game, full 9 at bats are going to be against right-handed pitching with temperatures in the upper 70s, low 80s. No real wind to worry about, but it's one of the best hitting parks in all of baseball. So I love the Brewers side of things. I prefer them more as kind of a mini stack with mainly those lefties there. And then I always add in, obviously, Contreras, Churio, Hoskins, who's been really good. Don't like Ortiz and Monasterio as much. Monasterio is my least favorite bat in this lineup just because I think he's going to be probably one of the most popular ones just because you can play him at a second base and a shortstop position, and he's 2,300. So that's an easy click for people as a one-off at second base, right? When they click in their Ohtani's, their Freemans, their Bretts of the world, their Will Smiths of the world, they're going to need salary somewhere, right? They go in and click Joe Ryan and they click Flaherty. Well, they need salary somewhere, right? And you see a guy with almost a 5-run total at 2,300 in this lineup. They're just going to click that name there. So he's my least favorite, but I definitely like the Brewers quite a bit. They're probably my top stack on the slate, mainly the lefties in particular.
All right. They're not my favorite. They're probably like 3 or 4, though. I like it. You made all great cases. Good hitting park. Guaranteed 9th inning at bats. Tax bullpen. And you mentioned Singers. This is one of the spots in baseball. We talk about it a lot on this show. Singer's going to be low owned. If you're playing 10 teams, Heck, Nades could even be playing 3 teams. Let me ask you this. Would you be fine going Singer on one team, completely overweight? Obviously, you're not 5-man against your own pitcher, but then on the next team where you're not playing Singer, 5-man Brewers. Is that something you ever do? Is that something you'd be fine with today?
Yeah, no, I do that a lot, actually. That's kind of the Campbell talks about all the time, right? A portfolio. It's not like you're playing against yourself. You're playing against a field of tons of entries, right? Even in single entry, you're playing against thousands of people. I make a portfolio. I play 2 to 3 teams, and a lot of times I'll play either a mini stack or a 5-man stack. And if it's a guy that's either Saber, like I talked about, right, with Saber score, running the dry runs, looking at projections, looking at different simulations, and they're kind of a little bit up there on Singer. That's a spot where, yeah, I'll play both sides. I do it all the time. It's baseball at the end of the day. We talk about it all the time, right? The best hitters in the world fail 7 out of 10 times. So it's the highest variance sport in all of sports, and you can easily play both sides.
Yeah, and I wanted to make a shout too quick. So I refreshed the Stone because I knew, like, as the lineups come in, we have the Brewers lineup. It's confirmed. Now you can see it. We had it projected. But I also noticed pitcher ranking, some stuff changes. Team totals change throughout the day. K-props, all of that. So that gets updated. So Singer went from, he was 3, I believe, all the way to 10. So that's big when just looking at, like, that makes me like the Brewers more and side with them than a Singer. Tyler Anderson went from, I believe, like 8 or something to number 5, which is also an interesting shout. He was one of the guys we had below. I preferred him mainly just because Boston's getting more ownership than the Brewers, but that was something to note. Singer went way down. Anderson went a little up that way. So, again, you can see all that. MLB hitter rankings, pitcher rankings, stack rankings. A lot of it is on the Stone as well. Projections, ownership, slate plan. Today, our man Big Nades breaks down favorite pitchers, stacks. Slate plan, a big write-up as well. PGA going on. MMA, big boy pay-per-view this week. NBA Finals, showdown content, always, projections, ownership, NHL, Stanley Cup time, NASCAR, so much going on, even without the NFL. And again, if you haven't joined, no better time. We would love to have you at the Nation. Usually $99 for all the content, for SaberSim, and for the Discord. Use that code DGen75. Get you $75 off your first month. Less than $1 a day to try us out. Discord, SaberSim, Optimizer, content. Absolutely cannot beat it. We would love to have you. Next game on the slate, definitely one of my favorite stacks. Detroit Tigers and the Chicago White Sox. Jack Flaherty and Jonathan Cannon on the mound. 8.5 total, -112 on the over. Big boy favorites are the Tigers at -238. The smaller the slate, the more I'm willing to get a bat against my pitcher or something like that. I don't love it going against Flaherty today, but a Mike Tauchman definitely would be fine with him. Homered yesterday, platoon advantage. Andrew Benintendi grades out well in the hitter rankings. All these guys are going to be low owned. It would mainly be a one-off. Tauchman, Benintendi, and more so if I'm not playing Jack Flaherty itself. Flaherty clearly my SP1. Tigers, I like the Tigers though. So will a lot of people. But if I had to pick a favorite stack in a vacuum, again, it is the chalk, so I hate saying it, but I want to pick on the White Sox. All their pitching rotation, like, I don't think Jonathan Cannon's awful. I don't think Ben Martin's awful. The thing is, they're not great. If it's a bad outing for them, you get this awful bullpen for a long time. Even if Cannon has a solid 5 innings. All right, I still got 4 more. The Tigers can put up a crooked number that way. They're cheap. Plenty of lefties in the lineup. Yeah, 1 through 9, I'm good playing the Tigers. But again, they will be owned. If you go Tigers with Joe Ryan and Jack Flaherty, you're going to be holding hands with a lot of people that way. So think about how to use them. They're number 1 for me, though. Break down this one, White Sox, Tigers.
Yeah, I think the Tigers are fine. I mean, the lefties are who you want. I think they get Parker Meadows back, too, tonight as well. He has a lot of power, pretty solid hitter in general against right-handed pitching. My 2 favorites are Kerry Carpenter and Riley Green, the 2 most popular bats, I'm sure. Colt Keith is interesting then, too. And Parker Meadows, if he does crack that lineup. Wencio Perez, I think, is decent. They're all solid. I prefer some other teams more on this slate. I'm going to talk about the game later on this evening that I just think has a ton of upside. I'm a huge weather guy in baseball and ballpark guy, and I just don't think it's getting the love that it deserves. So I kind of put those teams a little bit ahead of the Tigers. But, yeah, I mean, all the points you made, Tigers, really good plays. The reason they're getting played so much is, again, it's all math. It's all projection driven, and their highest price hitter on the team is 4,800. The rest of this team is all sub 4K for the most part. It allows you can 5-man stack the Tigers easily. Play Joe Ryan, play Flaherty, right? A lot of people are like, okay, if I'm 5-man stacking the Tigers, I'm expecting them to go off. Higher chance for Flaherty to get the extra 4 points, right? From a pitching standpoint. So everything checks out there. I agree. Can't really say much about them. I think they're solid stack for sure. And yeah, you talk about the bullpen. It's not the worst bullpen in baseball, but they're bottom 10 for sure. They're nothing special by any means. On the White Sox side, Talkman, I like that call. Benintendi, I like that call. And I think these are some of the pivots. I won't even mind a 2-man stack on the White Sox on non-Flaherty team. So say you go like a Joe Ryan and a Logan Webb type team, right? While you're saying those two guys are going to outscore Jack Flaherty in that same range enough, or even like a Logan Webb, Dustin May type, right? Because you're using Dustin May to outscore Flaherty, and then you leverage with two White Sox who have power and Talkman, Benintendi. I talked about their strikeout rates. I would play the guys that just don't strike out against right-hand pitching because you always have a chance, right, that they're putting the ball in play. Anything can happen. They get on. They can steal bases. Like Chase Meadroth will steal. He's 3,500 at shortstop. I get it. You want lefties in particular against Flaherty, but Flaherty, again, pretty league average strikeout rate. He allows some fly balls. So I think it's a decent little mini stack there. And they're direct pivots right off some of those Boston guys, right, who are going to be much, much more popular. And, yeah, I mean, I think it's a decent little leverage play. I'm not going in and 5-man stacking this team by any means. We'll limit it to 2-man or one-offs in particular.
Yep, I agree. So you mentioned the Parker Meadows possibly returning. He is. We did get that lineup, like our man Eman Hollis said. So he's leading off. Definitely going to be pretty high owned, 3,700. Will be chalky. Then they got Glaber, Kerry Carpenter 3, Riley Green 4, Dingler 5, Keith 6, McKinstry, Perez, Javi Baez to wrap it out. So you can see a little different than we have for projected, but Parker Meadows leading off definitely throws a wrench into some things. I mean, Meadows going to be super high owned. Carpenter, Green, Glaber, Colt Keith is free with dual eligibility. Like these dudes, Perez in the 6th spot, 3.1K. Yeah, man, in a vacuum, but this team's going to be super chalky. That new lineup makes it even worse.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, when I ran the dry run in Sabre, 150 teams and filtered by projected, 65% of stacks were from the Tigers. So if that tells you anything there, I mean, I get it, right? They could easily go off. But when you go off, I mean, if you have one of the wrong guys, well, you're not going to win, right? Because they're the chalkiest team on the slate. Everybody's going to have them. You have to hit all 5 guys that you need for the Tigers. You could probably make money, yeah, for sure. But we're not playing to min cash, right? We play tournaments here. We're playing for the top prize. These tournaments are so top heavy that even if you 5-man stack the Tigers, right? I mean, you have to nail all 5 of them, right? You have to nail all 5. If you have one of the guys in there that only gets you 6 and the rest of the lineup, all these guys have 12 to 20, right? Well, you're not gonna beat all of those other teams because there's gonna be people that go in there and play 60% Tiger stacks in their MME sets, even in their single entry stuff, right? People just go in and slam this team because it allows you to double spend a pitcher and take all the quote unquote variables of the pitcher out of play, right? They'll just play Flaherty and they'll play Joe Ryan and just say, okay, I'm just going in on the 2 popular pitchers. I'm going to play the Tigers and hopefully it works out.
Yeah, man, they're definitely the chalk on the slate with Ryan and Flaherty. So I would think about a way to get different, whether you're fading Parker Meadows and Colt Keith, the 2 chalkiest bats, and doing something different that way. You're pivoting into SP1. Heck, maybe you're not playing Flaherty or Joe Ryan and you're going Logan Webb, Dustin May, or something like that. I just would be cautious when playing the Tigers, what bats, if you are 5-manning them. Doesn't mean I don't like them, though. I think the lineup's really good. All right, next one on the slates. Definitely going to be very low owned. San Francisco Giants and the San Diego Padres, 7.5 total, which is the lowest on the slate by a lot, -118 on the under. Logan Webb's getting some ownership. Can you make a case for the Padres at direct leverage? Giants against Kolick. Yeah, I'll let you take it away. It's a game theory game at best, and I just don't like it. I'd rather play the Angels than both these teams.
I agree. I'd rather play the Angels, and there's another team I'd rather play much more in much better park. What I will say, though, is the stolen base guys for the Padres would be the guys that I would play. Xander, Tatis, Machado, Merrill, Arias are the main guys you're looking at that steal bases. Logan Webb does give up a lot of stolen bases, 22 over the last 2 seasons. So it would just be that. The park sucks. The weather sucks. Logan, really good bullpen, ground ball pitcher. There's just, it's just the game theory at best. All these dudes are going to be 2%. If that, in terms of ownership. I don't love it. I don't like anything really from this game in my main teams, in pretty much all the teams that I'm playing tonight. Not really going to have anybody in this game. Giants side, don't love it against Kolek. This dude is not a good pitcher. I don't know what's going on right now with this. All of his StatCast underlying metrics just look terrible. Does he blow up here? Could be a spot, right? Giants have won a lot of people a lot of money this season when nobody's really talking about them. This ballpark is okay for home run hunting at night. Chapman, Adames have a lot of power. Yastrzemski, some of the power guys. Flores has had a pretty good season. But again, I don't love it. Kolek gets into trouble. They have a really good bullpen. Both these teams are top 5 in baseball in terms of bullpens. Park sucks. Just one-offs, mini stacks only, if that's more MME.
Give me the A's in this next game. At very similar. I talked about the Angels. I think the A's you can compare to both those teams in terms of ownership, in terms of pricing. The big difference, you get a lot more direct leverage off of Joe Ryan. So yeah, we're taking us into the next game. The best hitting environment on the slate. Man, is it a good one. 80 degrees, wind blowing out in Sacramento. Luis Severino, Joe Ryan on the mound. Joe Ryan gives up fly balls. Man, is he a lead against righties, especially in terms of strikeouts? So you prefer the lefties. Couple projected lefties in the lineup. Always like Lawrence Butler, Soderstrom. Even the righties, if you did mix them in, like a Brent Rooker, Shea, Langolier is very cheap, has some power. Again, he can give up fly balls. He's very elite against righties in terms of strikeouts. Severino on the other side keeps the ball on the ground, the complete opposite as Joe Ryan that way, but he doesn't miss too many bats, sitting at about 20%. I just signed me up for this game with the hitting weather, with the ballpark, with the winds blowing out, the pricing. I like both sides of this. Twins would be number 2 behind the Tigers in a vacuum for me in terms of favorite stacks. And I think the A's are up there when looking at all the leverage you can get on this small slate. So yeah, what do you like in this game?
Yeah, the thing I'll say, number one for the Twins, I like the Twins a ton. They're probably, I would much rather have the Twins than the Tigers for sure, in a very similar spot at a quarter of the ownership, I would assume, just because they're slightly more expensive. And people are going to look at Severino. His strikeout numbers and his swing and strike rates are at a career low for his entire season. And naturally, right, when you have to throw, you're not getting swing and misses. Balls are going to be in play. Wind's blowing out. It's a small park, right? No stands to built up to really hold the wind out. And, the A's bullpen is the worst in baseball behind Severino, and they're taxed at that. So I love this Twins team. Kind of circling back, I said the Brewers earlier. The Twins are my favorite stack on the slates. Just with I like them both a lot. Slight edge to the Twins, though. I get it. Severino, right, overall, historically keeps the ball on the ground, but these guys can hit the ball in the air. I like the lefty power. Wallner, Larnach. There's some pinch hit concerns there, but I'm not too worried about it. Overall, Buxton, I really like. Jeffers. This entire team, if Brooks Lee's in there, I like him a ton. I love the Twins here. And then on the athletic side, you kind of stole the thunder a little bit. This is my favorite sneaky stack on the entire slate. Nobody's going to play them. Everybody's going to play Joe Ryan. Tons of fly balls. I get it. He's elite versus righties, but these righties for the A's have a lot of power, right? Rooker, Langoliers, I don't care if they strike out twice. They can definitely hit it. They could hit a home run. They could hit a double, whatever. You're playing a DFS game. You're not looking for a batting average aspect, right? And then the other righties like Jacob Wilson never strikes out. I get it. Joe Ryan has elite stuff against right-handed hitters. I'm playing the game theory approach in a good park. I like the A's quite a bit. And you get some cheap bats at the back half that are pivots off of the Red Sox and pivots off of the Tigers lineup. I get it. They're not great hitters, but I'll take a chance on a 2K guy anytime, right? If he gets you 0, it doesn't kill you, right? If a 6K guy gets you a 0, it's a little different story. So I like this game a ton. My favorite game on the slate. I like both of these teams a lot.
I like it. Pretty lockstep today, Nades. See on this last game of the slates again. Appreciate all 300 hanging out. Hope everybody having a good Monday so far. Again, all we ask is the like button and the subscribe button. And if you do want to join us at the Nation, you know where to find us. DGen75 is the code to get you $75 off your first month. Only $24. Optimizer, the best one out there. All the content, like 5-6 sports going on. Even tennis, like the French Open, all that's going on. We don't charge for tennis. We don't have a tennis content, but we have multiple sharp people in the Discord. Shout out Pickett. A lot of them talk their DFS, who they like, bets, all that, etc. So by far the best Discord out there. Shout out to everybody that's been involved. All right, last one of the slate, last game. Los Angeles Dodgers, New York Mets. Dustin May, Paul Blackburn on the mound. We are looking at a 9.5 total, -115 on the under. Hitting weather, 70 degrees, wind blowing out a little bit. Very fair. Nice night in Los Angeles. Paul Blackburn, he just doesn't miss bats. Another ground ball pitcher, but does not miss bats. And that is not a good recipe when you are playing this Dodgers lineup. I mean, Max Muncy's finally hitting the ball. Ohtani's out of this world. Freddie Freeman's out of this world. You can easily play this team 1 through 9. I'll throw it to you on this. Do you have any pinch hit concerns with any of the guys on the Dodgers? And then are you playing any Mets?
Probably rushing. If rushing's in there and Will Smith is not, I'm seeing kind of a couple different projected lineups. If rushing starts this game, he's definitely going to get pinch hit for Will Smith if this game is remotely close. So he's probably the biggest guy. Outside of that, I'm not seeing anyone really in this projected lineup that I'm looking at. The Dodgers, I mean, Paul Blackburn, like you said, he's a decent real-life pitcher. Overall, not great for DFS purposes. I'm not playing Paul Blackburn against the Dodgers on this slate. There's just no reason to do that. You actually want righties against him. Looking at last season, 157 plate appearances. He gives a lot more power to righties. Still ground ball guy, but where he allows more fly balls is more to the right side and a lot more power. You're talking a 234 ISO versus a 128. Fly ball rate, 22%, which, again, is not good. But this entire Dodgers lineup, outside of Teo Hernandez, is all 31% or higher on the current season against right-handed pitching. It's a gauntlet lineup to go through. Mets bullpen is pretty solid behind Blackburn, and the price points on these Dodgers is pretty concerning. But, again, it's one of the best teams in baseball, one of the best lineups. I prefer the right-handed power more so, and more so mini stacks just due to the salaries, right? So Mookie Betts, I like a lot. Tommy Edman, Pages, nobody's going to play Pages. Teo Hernandez has a ton of power. He's fine. If Will Smith is in there, I like him a lot. I'm more so on the mini stack side of the Dodgers game. I just like other hitting environments better. I like the salaries better for other teams. And then on the Mets side of things, Dustin May is going to get played on this slate for sure. Looking at what you want to attack against him, he allows a ton of right-handed power as well over the course of the last kind of 30 days, even when you date back to kind of last season, 178 ISO or 173 ISO against right-handed pitching or right-handed hitters, 30% fly ball rate. So it'd be the righties. Lindor is obviously a stud. I mean, switch hitter. He's got a ton of upside always, but I would start with Pete Alonso. More mini stacks only for me. I don't love it. Personally, I'm more on the side of Dustin May. Good Dodgers bullpen behind Dustin May as well. So if he gets in issues, they're going to play the platoon game and have a lot of good relievers in there. So overall, it's more mini stack in this game. Dodgers, my preferred side, just like everyone else.
Yeah, you mentioned the thing with the Dodgers, the pricing, and that is why you see the ownership right here. The Dodgers will get owned, no doubt about it, but they're not going to be top 3 on the slate, probably, at least for sure not top 2, because when you play them, you're almost forced to play one of those Savales, Andersons, all that of the world. You can go Flaherty, May, and then go Dodgers and cheap mini somewhere else, like a Benintendi, Talkman or something. But just the pricing alone, and that's good. You want that when you don't want the Dodgers to be 30% owned. I prefer playing the Dodgers when they're like 11% owned and still have the tied for the highest run total on the slate. You just have to make other things work. It's the beauty of the game we play, DFS. So I like it that way.
Yeah, there's two things with the Dodgers too. Even if the Dodgers go out and score 6-7 runs, right, you might think that's great. at their salaries, they have to, and the top tier pitching kind of has to bust, right? Because you can't play both sides of it. So you just need kind of so much if you're 5-man stacking the Dodgers to go right? You need the top 3 arms, right, who are clear cut by far, projection wise, everything. The 3 best pitchers on the slate, even if I'm underweight on Ryan. There's a case where Ryan's the highest scoring pitcher easily on this slate. You can't 5-man stack the Dodgers and play 2 of those spend up arms. So if 2 of those 3 at the top have must-have it scores, you just need your cheap pitcher to get enough, right, to get somewhat close, and you need the Dodgers to outscore all of these other teams that are significantly easier to 5-man stack, because if any of these teams come close, match them, or even come within a run or 2 at their salaries, you're not going to beat those teams from a points per dollar upside standpoint. So there's just a lot of things that have to go right when you do 5-man stack a Dodgers team on a slate like this, where the cheap end pitching is just, we talked about some of them, but it's not great by any means. And they could get dwarfed by 20 points from the top tier pitchers, and then you're screwed.
For sure. Mets side, again, that's the last game of the slate. I have a little interest in. I think I like them more. I like them more than Giants, Padres. It's close between the Angels and them. The thing is, why I think they're somewhat interesting. Dustin May will be the 4th highest owned pitcher on the slate, just out of default, not because people like him that much. He also gives it up to lefties. Like, you want lefties against him for sure, more than righties. He's pretty tough against the right side of the plate. Lefty, 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 lefty. That's projected lineup, but the Mets are expected to throw out 6 lefties. Some of them, Juan Soto's, Francisco Lindor's, Beatty's been fine for a cheap price tag. Then, one of the righties, Pete Alonso, has pop. They can really make Dustin May work in this one. Now, I don't love picking on the Dodgers for their bullpen aspect, but I think you could do worse on a 6-game slate. At single-digit ownership, you can play plenty of lefties. Again, their price tags too. Like, the Dodgers, they're the pivot off the Dodgers, but it's like a huge pivot. You're going to get a fraction of the ownership because you do have to spend for them when you want to play. Like, people will go Boston and play Dern and Devers when they're going to spend up that way. Or, if you play the Twins, they're going to play Buxton because they'll have the money to spend up, etc. So, I think the Mets are a little interesting. Now, I rank it for Tigers, Twins. They're by far my favorites. After that, it's tough, like Dodgers, the A's. But, I think if you're playing 10-plus teams, getting overweight to the Mets isn't hard, and I like the lefties.
Yeah, they're one of the hottest teams in baseball too, right? They've won 8 of their last 10 games. They always have upside, obviously, right? Stolen base upside too, right? Guys like Lindor will swipe all the time. Tons of power, right? Pete Alonso has been one of the best hitters over the last month and a half or so. So there's tons of upside there. Kind of expensive for the guys you want to play for sure. There is some cheap bats. Brett Beatty has a lot of power from the left side, second base, third base, which is the 2 weakest positions in MLB DFS in today's landscape. So I definitely I agree with you on the Mets. They're sneaky. I prefer the A's game, or the A's side in that game, and probably the Angels both ahead of the Mets there. But think they definitely have upside for sure. I just hate going against the Dodgers bullpen there, and I think Dustin May, the way he's pitched as of late, there's definitely some question marks there.
For sure, it's by no means safe. It's mainly just the ownership. You're getting some direct leverage against the 4th highest owned pitcher. Dustin May does rank pretty well in the stack, or in our pitcher rankings, at number 4, though. Nades, awesome stuff. An hour talking some 6 games, in-depth pitching, and the bats. Any final thoughts you have before we get on out of here?
No, final thoughts. I think we broke it down pretty good overall. Have fun. Don't go in there and play, like we said, right? 5 Tigers and Joe Ryan and Flaherty. Unless you want to hold hands with everyone else. If that's the case, play double ups, play 50-50s, etc., and just go in there and throw a cash team in there and hope to double your money. Maybe send Title head-to-head, and he might enjoy that there. But, no, should be a fun slate. I think there's a lot of ways to go. We talked about it a lot. I'm kind of going off the wall a little bit. I'd like to take chances. I play for first, right? I know I'm going to win. The most likely outcome going into any slate is you're going to lose, right? So I'm playing when I win to win the most amount of money possible. And that's kind of what I'm looking at here. And I like that even more on a 6-game slate where you can leverage the field so much more.
Absolutely. And again, if you do want to find out Nate's final thoughts, Couple cores from pitcher rankings, stack rankings, all of his write-ups. Slate plan right there. You can find cash cores on there as well for FanDuel and DraftKings. Stack rankings, hitter rankings, pitcher rankings, projections, ownership, everything up as always. Of course, SaberSim, the best optimizer out there. Shout outs to them. That's going to do it for us, though. For Big Nades, I'm Titletown. Good luck on the 6th gamer. Be safe. Have a good Monday night. Peace.